everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today's topic, I will talk about how to find housing in Belgrade, Serbia. Whether you are an expat, a digital nomad, or a tourist that has fallen in love with the city like I did 3 years ago, finding the right housing for you is so important. Belgrade is an exciting and vibrant city, but unfortunately it is not a cheap city anymore. Since 2020 and 2022, pricing for housing and food has risen significantly. So let's dive into what you need to know to find the right housing for your budget and lifestyle. I'll start it with my experience. I came to Belgrade in June 2022. I gave myself a week to figure out what I want to do. I was living in Paris, and Paris lifestyle, the housing, the neighborhoods is very different. So I came here with a very open mind and knew if I'm going to stay in Belgrade, aside from my visa, starting a business, I need to know where I would live. So I networked within my small religious community and got to know some of the locals and expats and asked around, like, how do you find housing? How do you find a good place to live? Do you talk directly with the landlords? Do you talk with the real estate agents? And I think it was just fate. Some people in my community own different properties, and the community itself did have a flat that was open to some of the members, and I was able to find housing through my community. So for my first year and a half, I lived in a gated community. I was very lucky to have that housing, which was right in the city center. For many people, especially expats, I do encourage people to find community. We are not meant to live alone as humans. And if you're coming to a country as a foreigner, you definitely want to find some type of community, whether it's around a religious community, around a hobby. If you're parents and you get to put your children in international schools, ask other parents around. If your company is an international company, is moving here, they'll probably help recommend, but community is so essential to finding housing. Facebook groups are so essential for expats. That's like one of the big open secrets. Every city that has an expat hub, there is always an expat in XYZ city. And many of these groups have renting apartments, renting housing, finding a roommate. So I also joined expat groups in Belgrade, expat groups in Serbia, expat groups in Belgrade, finding housing, rooms to rent in Belgrade. So if you want to move to Belgrade, there are many community online Facebook groups where you can find housing, expat and your own property. Many expats do promote some of their houses, the rooms, their flats, their apartments that they are renting. So aside from a community, online community, Facebook groups are so essential if you're going to find housing. Belgrade is an interesting city with 5 major neighborhoods that most foreigners and expats live in. So if you want to be like in the city, these are the 5 neighborhoods. You have the city center, or Stari Grad, which I live in, so Belgrade City Center, which has Parliament, there's the museums, there's all the major shops, Knez Mihailova Street, Knez Milosha. There's a lot of, like, this is the center. So city center, or Stari Grad, is the first major neighborhood. And there's a lot of embassies also in this neighborhood. The second neighborhood is Belgrade Waterfront. So of course it's right on the waterfront. That's where new expats live, because it's right on the waterfront. You have all the luxury apartments, the Galleria Mall. You have the nice pedestrian walk that goes all the way to Dorćol. It's a really great space, but for me, it's not like the real Belgrade. Next, you have Dorćol, which is a very like hipsterish type of neighborhood. Restaurants, really cool old style type of apartments and new apartments, buildings, and some penthouses there. So Dorćol is like the ultimate goal. Or when I move again, I'll definitely love to live in Dorćol. Then you have Vračar. That's another cool hip neighborhood, followed by Novi Beograd. So that's across the bridge. There's like one major bridge everyone knows. So Novi Beograd, or New Belgrade. Then for many parents and families that want to be around international schools, you have Dedinje and Senjak. If you don't want to go through Facebook groups, or if you do not know anybody, you can go type on Google real estate agencies, and there are reliable real estate agencies here in Belgrade. They speak English, that they do have a large portfolio of housing, whether it's studios, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom, 4 bedrooms, penthouses all around Belgrade and other neighborhoods that I didn't mention above that you can go through. Just keep in mind there's a commission, and then you have to have the deposits that you would have to make to the landlord. So that's much more of a pricier route, but I know some people that have gone through real estate agents and they're very happy to find their housing. Costs. We all have different lifestyle, and it's not only just about money, it's also about space, especially if you have a family, if you have a pet, if you have a car, if you want a big kitchen because you cook a lot, do you want a garden? So you have to be realistic about what is your lifestyle, and with that lifestyle, what is my budget so I can live my best life in Belgrade. If you are moving from the US or Canada or the UK, Australia, it is a bit cheaper depending if you're moving from New York or from LA or from London, or like myself from Paris or from Melbourne. It is cheaper, but there are some pricier housing here in Belgrade, and depending on your lifestyle. If you are like me and you're single, child-free, no pets and no car, a budget like 700 euros a month with housing plus the utilities is a solid budget. And I live in Starigard, or the city center, which I absolutely love. I can walk everywhere. There's grocery stores, there's parks, there's pharmacies everywhere. That's a solid budget if you're going to move here as a single person like myself. However, if you're moving as a couple or with kids, I would recommend Belgrade Waterfront or Dorćol or Senjak or Dedinje if you want a lot more space. If you want to rent a whole house, a solid budget of 2, 3, or 4,000 euros a month. Again, depending on your lifestyle that you're comfortable with and you want to live your best life, not only just for housing, but again, for housing, food, car, and other expenses. 3,000 or 4,000 euros a month. So there are a lot of options outside of the neighborhoods. There are people that live on the outskirts or nearby cities like Pančevo. I spent some time in Pančevo last year, and it was lovely. It is cheaper, so you don't have to have thousands and thousands of euros. Belgrade, again, is not the center of the world. There are other nearby cities and smaller neighborhoods where you can commute from, where you don't have to have a really high budget. One of the things I love about Belgrade, it is a walkable city. Like most cities in Europe, it's not car-centric. You can walk everywhere. And again, I'm single, child-free, pet-free. I don't even have a plant. So for me, this city works perfectly. For those that do have a car, many of my friends do have cars, and people do complain about the lack of public parking. It does take longer to park. There are expenses with owning a car. Buying gas, I have no idea how much gas costs. Insurance for your car. So just keep in mind that you don't necessarily need a car. There are buses, there are trams, and they are reliable. I've taken the bus everywhere. I've taken the trams. I walk everywhere. So it's a really great city where you don't necessarily need a car. If you do need a car and you are living in Senjak or Dedinje, Dorćol or Vračar, developments do have parking. But if you're going to go in around the city, or if you're going to go to commute to work, just keep in mind that it's going to cost you to have a car. And some of the developments also do charge for parking. So keep that in mind in your budget. If you have to have a car, just keep in mind if your lifestyle requires a car, you will have to, that's an additional expense. But you don't necessarily need a car because Belgrade is such a walkable city. Belgrade is very pet friendly. There are so many people that have dogs, especially small, cute little dogs. So if you want to come here with your dog or your cat, I don't know anybody that owns a fish, you don't have to worry. There are many places that allow pets. Just keep in mind that will be an additional expense, and depending on how big your pet is, some places only allow for a certain size of dog. So other places might allow for a bigger dog, but again, that will cost you. So how can I help you find housing in Belgrade? I own a boutique consulting company, ABC Experiences and Events, and I have partnerships with different developments and hotels. So if you're looking for short-term or long-term housing, I am here to help. Whether you're looking for a studio, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom, 4 bedroom, in the city center or in Dorćol or in Vračar or Belgrade Waterfront, I am happy to recommend you to the developers and to the managers so you can find the right housing for your lifestyle and your budget. Is it for today. If you have any questions about finding housing, please comment below or send me an email or message me on my Instagram, Blair in Belgrade, or on my TikTok, Blair in Belgrade. Belgrade is such a vibrant city and I love it so much. So I am here to help you find the right space for you to call Belgrade your home. Okay? Bye!